Tim Geithner says, look, I'm representing the people, and in my mind, I'm always thinking about the people first and not the bankers. He has said this on many occasions in different words. We have a new report out from Bloomberg News that seems to do some damage to that idea. Apparently, when he was at the New York Fed, the head of the New York Fed, Tim Geithner told AIG, listen, I'm going to take over and direct you to make payments to the top banks in the world, and we're going to pay them 100 cents on the dollar on these nonsense bets that you made, okay, that no other right-thinking person would pay 100 cents on the dollar for. In fact, they're worth very little to, depending on what the market valued it, and they didn't value it at very much at that point. Instead of taking the market value, we're going to pay complete amount of money for it, 100 cents on the dollar. Now, we knew that before, and that's part of the reason that I can't stand Tim Geithner and think that he absolutely butchered his job at the New York Fed and has done so at the Treasury as well. He took our money, taxpayer money, and funneled it over to the top banks in the world through AIG. Now, what do we find out from Bloomberg today? Well, it turns out he knew what he was doing was not so pretty, not necessarily the right thing to do, so he told AIG executives, do not disclose this information. In fact, they were going to do a public disclosure of where the money went, which makes sense, and the Fed came in and crossed out the lines on the money being funneled to the banks. They said, shush, we don't want anybody to know. Tim Geithner's doing a tremendous favor for Goldman Sachs and some other banks, including banks that are not based in the United States of America. Now, look, here are the AIG guys, and I can't believe the AIG guys are the ones that were trying to do the right thing. They say to the New York Fed, given the significance of the transaction, AIG would be best served by filing tomorrow. The better practice and better disclosure in this complex area is to file the agreements currently rather than to delay. Okay? And Geithner says, take it easy, man. Take it easy. We're going to let everybody know that I'm secretly funneling all this money over them for. No, we don't file now. And so how much did the decision cost us to pay 100 cents on the dollar on these bets that AIG made and lost to Goldman Sachs and the other companies, right? Now, we've explained this scam before, but let me do a quick summary for you so you get a sense of what an unbelievable scam this is. Goldman Sachs puts together certain assets. They know those assets are terrible, right? How do we know that they know that they're terrible? Because as soon as they sell the assets, they go make a bet with AIG and say, I bet those suck. I bet they go under. And AIG's like, no way, are you serious? But you put them together. All right, screw it, let's bet anyway. I'm not exaggerating, okay? I'm bringing it down to simpler terms. But that's literally what happened. They make bets on these things. And why was AIG so stupid that they made the bet with Goldman Sachs and the other banks, even though they're the banks are the ones that put together these assets so they know how bad they are? See, they didn't care. They cared about the commission. They cared about the percentage they were getting because that went into their bonuses. They took those bonuses. The guy that worked in the London office of AIG, I believe, made in the ballpark of $600 million. So he doesn't give a damn that those bets didn't work out. So then the bets don't work out because Goldman Sachs and the other banks have already rigged it so they won't. So then they come to AIG and go, pay me, right? But AIG made all these bets that they couldn't pay back, so they're gone. They're going under, right? So now those bets are nearly worthless because who are you going to get paid by? AIG is going to get bankrupt. Now, if you try to go and collect that money from somewhere else, you're going to get pennies on the dollar. But instead of having to deal with that on the market, your friend Tim Geithner at the New York Fed steps in and says, no. I'm going to handle these negotiations for AIG. Negotiations. And the bankers want 100 cents on the dollar, and I will negotiate so that they get 100 cents on the dollar. Now, how much did that cost us? The difference between the market value and what Geithner paid. At least $13 billion. At least $13 billion from us, taxpayer money, that went to the top banks who made those toxic assets in the first place. And they profited 100% off them exactly as they planned because their friend Tim Geithner helped them to do that. Now, if the man, and then knowing what's happened here, Geithner then covers it up and instructs AIG specifically, do not reveal this information. Now, that information came out later. Of course, it was eventually bound to come out. But, you know, given enough time, the crime is already committed. What are you going to do, get the money back from Goldman Sachs and all those other companies? No, you're not going to get it back. And that's what they care about the most. Now, given all of this, why? Why is this guy still hired? Why is this guy still the Treasury Secretary? And then Obama wonders, scratches his head, gee, why do people think that I'm not for them? Oh, I don't get it. Because your Treasury Secretary is part and parcel of funneling our money to the top bankers in the world who are now back to making record bonuses when the rest of us are getting killed out here. If you are so disconnected from the American people that you can't understand that, well, then you deserve the political trouble that you're in. Now, some Democrats and progressives and liberals drive me crazy. The guy who uncovered this through information requests is Darrell Issa, who's a Republican of California. I don't agree with Issa on almost anything else, okay? But here, he obviously did the right thing. I mean, and I don't care what his purposes are. I don't care, oh, he wanted to damage the president. Who cares? He got something that is true. And when a Republican actually attacks on something that has merit, I'll take it and run, okay? It's unbelievable. But some Democrats and liberals say, no, we can't support that. That was by a Republican. I don't give a damn, man. I don't care if Beelzebub walked in with the information. Is the information accurate or is it not accurate? Okay, it is accurate. He's right. Geithner's got to go. Geithner's got to go. Come on. And so if Obama cries those crocodile tears about, oh, why don't the people understand I'm for them? Because I hate to break it to you, you're not for them. Because the guys that you've hired to run your economic team have no interest in the American people. Their main interest is protecting the banks. Now, I don't want to be unfair. I don't want, look, Geithner's not some evil guy who's like, I will help the banks and crush the American people, right? No, in his mind, he thinks, well, look, if I help the banks, I help the country. Because the banks are such an important part of the economy, and then that trickles down to the people eventually. Am I going to keep track of whether it gets to the people? Kind of. The main thing is keep the banks safe. But that's the wrong priorities, because he's been living in that world almost his entire career. So, and all of his top advisors are from the top banks. We have the record of his calls. All he does is call the top bankers. Gee, what should I do, Jamie Dimon? I'll give you more money. Okay, great. So he's in the wrong bubble. Whether he's well-intended or not, and I don't suspect that he has evil intentions or anything, he's making the wrong decisions because he's got the wrong priorities. The priority of Tim Geithner in his mind is protect the banks at all costs and protect these particular executives. And those are the priorities that are destroying our country, our economy, etc. I don't want to get overly, dramatic on it, but but we saw what happened to the economy. Those are the guys who literally, I mean, if you listen to Geithner and you listen to Summers and you listen to Obama, you listen to Paulson, you listen to all those guys, they say the global economy was going to collapse. And those are the guys who created, those are the guys that Geithner is protecting and helping and funneling more of our money to. No, can't have it. If you don't fire him over this, let alone the 28 other things we pointed out on this show, well then you're telling us that you care more about the bankers than us. And that's a very, very bad sign.